Hey everybody, it's Kristin Smedley. Welcome to another episode, edition, whatever you want to call it in this series of Thriving Blind. We are talking with folks that are succeeding without sight, as well as folks in the field, either working with blind and visually impaired students and adults or raising blind and visually impaired kiddos. We run the gamut here because I'm Kristin Smedley. I talk to everyone. Just ask my kids. It drives them crazy. But today I have a super cool new buddy of mine that we met through Facebook, I guess.
Yeah.
Lisa O'Malley, who actually reached out to me to say, hey, Kristin, if you need somebody to talk with and educate the families you serve about college as a blind student, let me know. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're doing a good thing when the programming is just coming to you. But that's when I knew that Lisa was going to be a good person to interview, because she is stepping up to give back to our community. And if you know anything about the journey of my oldest son, Michael, when he gave his valedictorian speech at the high school, his big thing was, you should find people to be on your team and help you do the things that you don't know how to do, but you also have to look and see whose team you need to be on. So I am so excited to have Lisa here today to be on the Thriving Blind team, help us figure out these things that we need to know about college. Some of them the kids probably aren't going to want us to know about, skills that we need to hammer through to them. But most of it, all of it, the parents are going to be thrilled to have such an incredible person to talk about this, because Lisa, did you just tell me that you have 3 college degrees?
I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're also going to hear her on the Overachiever podcast.
Let's not go that far.
No, that's great. Okay, Lisa, let's start with, because I end up diving into the middle and I'm learning to start at the beginning and take people on a journey. So let's start with, what is your blindness condition?
I think they call it bilateral microphthalmia. Translation, I don't have retinas.
You don't have retinas. Okay.
So that's the simple term of it. I have fake eyes that I can't wear because the doctor messed them up and called me a drama queen when I told him that they hurt too much.
Oh, isn't that fun? A drama queen from the doctor. Don't they just say the kindest things sometimes in those?
Yeah, and my friend that was with me, he loved that very much.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay, and you are in my area, in the Philly area, right, in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I am, and right here in good old Chester, Delaware County.
Very good. So we're like circling the city here, because I'm in the northeast side and you're southern part of the city. So good stuff. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit here too. I want to talk about the colleges that you've been at, the degrees you have, and then we're going to walk everybody through skills leading up to that and what you find important from your point of view. And that's what I love about this. We get everybody's point of view, from the teachers, the parents, and the blind and visually impaired students themselves, to give us the real deal, people, the real deal on what's important. So let's start with, you just graduated last year from New Hampshire University?
Southern New Hampshire University, which was an online master's program where my grades were 11 A's and a B+. It was a 12-class program where my master's was in English and creative writing with a concentration in poetry.
Wow. Oh man, now I'm really glad that we're friends. You probably cringe at a lot of the stuff I write, because as my editor for my book Thriving Blind was my 6th grade English teacher, and when I emailed the first chapter, she said, Kristin, this is great, but you still write like you talk. We have a lot of work to do.
Oh no, I've seen plenty of that, trust me.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, so wait, that's a master's degree. What's your undergrad?
Let's take it back. I have an associate's in education from Delaware County Community College and a bachelor's in English from Newman University.
Wow. All right. Bachelor's, associates. Oh my gosh. So what is it that, now you've been out of school with 3 degrees for a year. Are you working now?
I'm looking for work. And one of the biggest things I'm discovering while looking for work is when you put in applications, people are very hesitant to give you a try without experience. And it's hard to get experience without getting experience. And the other thing I'm also noticing is, you write the word blind, people hit the panic button. but that doesn't
Mhm.
mean you give up trying. You try and try and try again, and they're going to eventually know that you're persistent, you're resilient, and you're going to keep trying.
Very good. And honestly, actually, I am working on a new TEDx talk with a friend of mine about this whole concept of employment and how you all that have been blind for years, especially kids that are born blind, I believe have the five characteristics that make the top, C-suite executives. I believe somebody that's been blind their whole life is the better employee, the better choice. So I'm working on flipping the whole narrative of that. But I love your expression of pushing the panic button, because that's what they do. So this is part of the reason that I did Thriving Blind, well, the majority of the reason, and have these conversations, because we're going to change some perceptions today. We're going to send this to HR folks. We're going to tag everybody so people start to understand the skill set that you have, and not only getting 3 college degrees, but what kind of an employee that has set you up for. So let's go into this now. So okay, so the community college, was that in person or did you do that online too?
That was in person with a couple online classes.
Okay, and was the bachelor's degree online or in person?
That was all in person, and one thing I can say about that, I had the greatest advisor ever known, and I wouldn't have gotten through it without him, because I had a lot of things go on during that time during my bachelor's degree, one of which was I lost my grandfather in 2012, and
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
he
that.
wasn't there for me through that, and if I didn't have the support of the English program to get through that, I don't think it would have gone as well as it did.
So, what's interesting that you point that out? The advisors, aren't they like, when I was in college 100 million years ago, because I'm so much older than you,
Mhm.
an advisor can make or break your college experience, whether you have challenges or not.
They
They
can.
are such a lifeline to help you navigate this whole thing. And I'm so glad that you had somebody that was there for you in terms of the academic, but also your life and what was happening, to help you keep that resilient spirit and get through it and
The
earn all
advisors
these
can
degrees.
The advisors can too, but it's not just the advisors, it's the faculty. If you have resources and you lean on them and you use them, that's what makes or breaks your college experience. If you have an issue and you communicate it in the right way, you're going to get the help that you need.
Okay, so you just hit on a couple of things. There are several people that you have to have as part of your, we're going to use the word team because I'm obsessed with that. And I should also point out that I have Penn State baseball hat on because Michael's at Penn State and we are like Penn State obsessed. So,
Nice.
at any rate, so the members of your team, so you're talking about now, everybody that's listening and watching, this is what a college person, I keep saying kiddo, and my kids remind me they are not kiddos in college, but whatever. A college student needs to have several things, especially several people on the team. So we're talking about number one, advisor. You mentioned faculty.
Yes, because in a school like Newman, you're not a number. You're a student. The class sizes are small. The teachers know you by name. The people in offices know you by name. I'll give you an example. Our mission and ministry vice president, her name is Sister Margarita Byrne. She will come and have full-on conversations with students in the hallway. It's really a unique experience there. And if you need help, you're comfortable asking for it because they know who you are and they want to see you succeed. And another important person that you want to have on your team is the Disability Services Office.
Ah, yes, yes. Thank you
And
for mentioning that.
the comparative analysis there is in Delaware County Community College, they were a lot more, they were a lot less, wanting to help more than just do what they needed to do, as
Mhm.
opposed to Newman, where they went above and beyond as to transcribing books into formats I could read them, breaking them down by chapters, scanning things that needed to be scanned, recording
Wow.
things if need be, anything.
Let me ask you this, Newman,
Mhm.
is that a private school or was it public?
Private Catholic school,
State school.
yes.
It was a private school. Okay, because you know what's interesting?
Mm.
And you know what? At some point, we'll have you back on and do a panel of multiple college experiences because Michael, my oldest, started at Belmont in Nashville, which is a very small private school. And he had exactly the same experience you're talking about. Everybody knew his name and all of that. He wasn't lost in anything. But the disability service is there. And it could be because it was the state of Tennessee, which is, sorry, all the Tennessee people that are listening, but it's not a great state if you are looking for services for the blind. They weren't equipped with a lot of stuff that he needed, but he had to go out and use other resources and just be resourceful and figure it all out. But the disability services at our community college were terrible. So that's interesting that both community colleges we didn't have a good experience, but that's not to say all community colleges are like that. I think it depends on the
No,
person.
not at all. Not at all. I've heard
Yeah.
good things about other community colleges. And I had to do a lot of figuring it out in Delaware County, whether that be sitting down with the professors or going to the assistant in the disability service office who would read me my tests, or working directly with the faculty to say, okay, this is what I need. How can we make it work? A lot of
And
things.
I should have asked you this from the beginning. Well, I do end up asking, we're going to talk about skills, but I think it's important to interject it here. Are you a Braille user?
I am a Braille user, but I rely also a lot on using JAWS.
Okay, and JAWS, for those of you that are new to the journey or not familiar, JAWS is the screen reader for a computer, a laptop. Different. It's its own standalone program. It's different from the Apple programs that have voiceover. A lot of people know about voiceover now because they activate it on their phone by accident by hitting the
Yes,
home button.
I'm
Okay,
actually
so you are a Braille
not a
reader.
student.
So when you're saying the disability, this is another point that I think it's important to make for parents that are furiously taking notes of what their blind child needs to be aware of going into college. The disability services doesn't just help with things like, being a resource for getting materials that you need. Did they help you coordinate getting stuff in Braille, or did you have to do that on your own?
If Braille was what I needed, they helped get it, but mostly by the time I got to college, I was pretty much all electronic. And
Okay.
Delaware County had the Braille embosser. Newman was more electronic files, and that's kind of what I preferred because trying to read, say, a history book in Braille, it's just not within my attention span.
Well, and you know what? That's an important point to bring up because for my kids, for both of my boys, I didn't allow anything other than Braille until about middle school-ish because Michael was in all the advanced classes. And if the reading was just too much, and the Braille was because the Braille, for those of you that don't know, is a lot of times slower than a sighted reader, but not always. I mean, you look at those kids in the Braille Challenge finals. They're pretty fast at reading Braille. However, speeds vary. So we had to take a look at Michael's workload and how long it was going to take him to be reading Braille as opposed to doing audio. And then if there's PDFs, that's what I really liked about as we got up in age. There's so many things that are PDF and websites, and the boys access that on their Braille note takers as opposed to listening to audio. But they kind of did a mix of everything by the time, now that Michael's in college. He really is using everything he has, every skill he has to be able to get through the workload. Because I think he is up to like 100 majors now. The kid just keeps adding stuff.
Wow.
Now, one of the things I wanted to make sure we step back for a second, you talked about communication with all these people. Can you talk to that a little bit about communication skills and what it is that you had to be doing?
Self-advocacy in college is the most important skill you have. And one of the things that it is completely crucial that you are able to do is, yes, most colleges, at least the ones I've attended to, do reach out with letters to the instructors of the accommodations that were agreed upon by the disability services. Mm-hmm. But it still falls on you to reach out to the teachers and say, okay, this is what I need to be successful. Am I able to, say, email assignments, or if I'm down with a migraine for a couple days, can this happen? Or can you transcribe attachments this way? If you know you need something, you need to ask for it because disability is not going to do it for you past that letter. Now, if their teacher isn't cooperating, which has happened to me on a couple of occasions, then disabilities will advocate for you, but you also do need to try.
So knowing all of that, I mean, that is a lot. It sounds there's probably some parents needing oxygen right now because they've got a third grader that like, and I'm saying this coming from experience. My second one was the one that was like laying on the floor. I'm never tying my shoes. I'm wearing Velcro for the rest of my life. He's way better now, people. He's way better now. But for the parents that have younger kids and they just heard that you went to this college and you had to manage all of that, let's give them a little oxygen here. What kinds of things did you just suddenly go to college and you're just thrown to the wolves and you have to figure this out? Or did someone start setting you up with those skills before you went to college?
I started learning self-advocacy skills in elementary school, and they kind of continued into high school. And my last year of high school, I took a college level English course, and I was able to tell that professor from the beginning that to the best extent possible, I wanted to be treated like every other student, and he respected that. He was able to hold me to the same standards, to the same deadlines. Now, granted, some things did have to be modified, and I knew I had to modify some things, like get help with formatting some documents and other things like that. But I was in that class to learn. I was in that class to be held to the same expectations, and that's exactly how I wanted it.
That's fantastic. You're like singing my song, girl. You are totally singing my song. That, you know what is of all of that, and I want to take that as a soundbite later and send that around all of my social media platforms because that was so important. But one of the most important things that I want people that are watching and listening to hear is that there are times when you cannot do it all or you can't access something and you have to ask. You just have to ask. And it makes it, I'm sure that you can probably attest to this, Lisa, it makes it so much quicker and easier if you say, you know what, this wasn't accessible. How can we figure this out? And would you agree that how important is a kind of friendly, relationship and being open and flexible when dealing with all these people?
You can't do college without it. And if you can't have a friendly relationship with a professor, then it's important to find it with someone else in the class. Fortunately, in my master's program, I have to, if you don't mind, give a shout out to a girl named Mandy who is from Chicago, and from my nonfiction course all the way to the end of my program, she literally would go through my assignments and check for all the things I couldn't see. And without her, I really couldn't.
Wow. You know what's interesting about the fact that you just said that? When I don't know if you know about one of my other jobs is Brilliantly Resilient, where it's all resilience skills. And my friend Mary Fran and I teach a ton with webinars and stuff and presentations about resilience skills. And that's one of the biggest things that gives you the most success, being able to collaborate with somebody, reach out to somebody. But can I just tell you how many adults are afraid to do that? They don't want to ask for the help. And then they sit there stuck trying to figure something out. See, this is why I always say that those of you that have gone through life blind or visually impaired and figuring these kinds of things out, you guys have discovered that as a skill way before a lot of us, and you put it in practice and it makes it work. And you're probably like, why is that a big deal? Because that's how my boys are. Why is that a big deal? It gets you to the finish line faster. Well, because
it has to be, because if not, you're just going to be stuck and you're not going to move forward if you don't. I mean, some things you can do on your own, that's good, but some things you just can't. And if you don't ask for help, it's just not going to get done. You want to maintain that level of independence, and sometimes in situations you have to fight for that, but in other ones you might have to say, okay, I can't open this, can we get some help formatting it? I can't get this to submit, what can I do differently?
And I love that you're saying that you do everything you can to be independent and do it on your own, and then as soon as you hit a roadblock, you just ask for help. It's that simple, people. I'm telling you, Lisa, in the adult world, that's like people's biggest hang up It's crazy, people. Let's stop doing that. Okay, I could go on to a whole soapbox here, but we're going to keep moving through your experience. You have such a wealth of information. I'm so excited about all this. Let me ask you this. Okay, so you were doing self-advocacy from early in elementary school. Can you, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but can
I'm
you
fine.
pinpoint a few other skills that you realized in college were the best things you had training ground in, even if you were horrible at them early on? What are some skills that were good things for you?
Um, hmm, I have to say, dealing with teachers who either didn't get it or didn't want to get it.
Oh, I like how you took a minute there to say that real nicely and diplomatically.
Yeah, because there were teachers who you could sit down with and explain that, okay, this could work if it's done this way, or this can't work because it's just not logical. Or there were teachers like one I had who asked me why I couldn't read along with a play when I was listening to it on a CD.
Oh, those gems. Those gems. I always told my boys that they were the ones that were giving us practice and patience.
Yeah, and that was why I took a class as a directed study in the summer, because my advisor pulled me out of it. Me
Yeah.
and two others were so outraged they got pulled out of it too.
Oh my goodness. What was your course load like around middle school, high school? I know you said that in the one high school class was a college class.
My last year of high school, I actually would be in school until probably around 12ish. Then I would leave and go to Delaware County Community College to take a English Comp 1, which I tested directly into when I took my placement test.
Interesting.
English has always been my subject, and I attribute that to my 8th grade English teacher.
Really? Why is that?
She drilled grammar and writing skills into me in a way that only a nun can.
That was so funny. I went to
And
Catholic school, so I think a lot of people that went to Catholic school can totally, they're cracking up at that statement. And I don't know, the nuns just loved English, didn't they? They were like, that's funny. Catholic school look, it's not just nuns. Catholic school teachers just love English. I can diagram a sentence like nobody's business.
me too. When I edit papers, they come back looking really, really different.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. I can't believe that we are running low on time already. I already said, I'm going to say it again. We're going to have you back and have a panel with different college conversations, but I think it's going to have to be like a half-day summit, because there's so much information that families want to know about what to prepare now. So let me ask you this. Did you start Braille in elementary school, middle? When did Braille come into your life?
Braille came into my life probably around kindergarten, and kind of ceased around 4th grade.
And it ceased in 4th grade, you said?
I mean, I still use Braille up until, I still use it today because I'm a lector at my church, but formal Braille instruction kind of ceased in 4th grade.
Okay. And was that on your family's choice, or was that the school just
No,
not?
I was in a school for the blind. It just kind of stopped.
Okay. That's interesting, because I've heard that before at schools for the blind. So, but you at least got the foundational grammar, reading, all of that in Braille.
Yes.
Very good. It probably attributes a lot to, it backs up my theory and a lot of people's theory that how well you do in school, if you're a blind student that cannot access print, having Braille early on versus audio, you can go a little further. Of course, I'm a researcher, but hey.
One of the running jokes when I was in 3rd grade was I was one of the fastest typers, because they used to put boxes over the keyboards for people to not look at the keys. And since I didn't have to, I was one of the fastest typers in the class.
There you go. There's one of the bright sides. Actually, that leads us right into the bright sides of blindness. There's one. What else would you say? My boys call them blind perks, when they get to get through the airport faster, and when we would go to Disney World.
That was definitely one when I went to London. When we came back, I had an awful, and I do mean awful, sinus infection.
Oh, I hate sinus infections.
I went to London in college, and I was sick from Tuesday till we came back. and
Oh.
a little longer, and getting to the customs line was very nice. Without having to wait in it. And unfortunately for my teacher that I was talking about earlier, he did not take me off the plane and he had to wait in the customs line.
Oh, well, too bad for him.
Yeah, but even in London, he was wonderful because he was the one who made sure I got medicine and sleep and took me out of Matilda the musical when my head felt like it was going to explode.
Oh, good times.
But one of the blind perks I do want to talk about is a lot of people are going to hear the word blind and think of the things that you can't do. You can't be part of this, you can't be part of that. But one of the things I'm fortunate enough to be able to say is I belong to a church that focuses completely on what I can do. I am a lector, I'm part of the sound for our Christian rock band, and when I joined the church in 2015, they were not focused on, this could happen and this could happen. Yes, they were concerned for my safety, but they gave me every chance in the world to do anything anyone else can do. And I'm grateful for that. It may not be the blind perk you're looking for, but it's certainly a blind perk for me that I came from a church who thought that me carrying a book was an insurance liability to one where you want to lecture and do everything? Okay, we're going to find a way to make that happen.
Wow. Can you tell us the name of the church?
St. John Chrysostom in Wallingford.
Which one is it?
St. John Chrysostom in Wallingford.
Oh, and what denomination is it?
Catholic.
Is it Catholic?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Well, shout out to them. That sounds absolutely fantastic.
Father Ed Hallinan is the pastor and the world's biggest Eagles fan. He actually has a hat with Christmas lights that he wears when they're in the playoffs.
Oh, all right. I might have to come. You're not that far from me. Might have to come visit your church one day then. And you guys have a Christian rock band at the Catholic Church?
Once a month, I will send you a video of their cover of a Sidewalk Prophet song when we are done with this interview.
Oh, please do. I would love that. I'm at a Methodist church here in my town, and we have a Christian rock band when we get to go back, it's every Sunday at an early service. And that's the whole reason one of the biggest reasons I ended up at that church. And they incidentally also have a inclusive environment there where they just help you figure things out. No matter what you got going on, they help you figure it out.
Well, ours just started a YouTube channel, so Ken Margolis, look him up. He's got a few things on there, but I will send you the link to that. And
oh, good. We'll share that with us.
With Thriving Blind.
Yeah, we'll share it with the community. I'll tag it. I'll put a link to it on the when this is up on YouTube. So listen, let's wrap this up. I can't believe that we got to go already, but let's wrap this up with, what were some of your favorite things about college?
I think I'm gonna just steer toward Newman on this because Newman was the college that gave me the most opportunities to do the most things. I wanted a college experience where I could be involved and not just go to school and go home. I was able to do things that I enjoyed doing. I was part of the orientation team for a little while. I was on a radio show, 3 different radio shows actually.
Oh, wow.
I had one was called the Get Back Beatles Hour. I had the country showdown, we called it, and then I had one for a little bit called the Survivor's Guide. Oh, cool. And then I was part of the basketball team. I was their main cheerleader. I had my own uniform and everything.
Oh, that's fun.
That was great. And one of the greatest parts of that, and I enjoyed it a lot, was before every game, I'd bring all the coaches candy bars. And
wait, that's way more fun. I was on basketball. I was just sent in to foul. I was terrible, and my daughter's really good at it. But man, I wish I would have had that. Well, actually, I would rather receive the candy bar maybe than hand it out.
But I made brownies for the team a couple times. I really felt like part of something when I was sitting behind that bench, and really I felt like part of something in the school. I was in 2 honor societies, the Delta Pi, which is the National Catholic Honor Society, and the National English Honor Society, the Delta Epsilon Sigma, both of which you have to have a 3.7 GPA or higher to get into. And
You know what? I love that you said you didn't want to just go to school and go home. And since we have to wrap up, I want to end on that note, because that's one of the, you're bringing tears to my eyes. That's one of the most brilliant messages that I want families that are hearing this, that are raising blind and visually impaired children. I want you to understand that this Thriving Blind and all of these folks that we're meeting, like Lisa, the message that we want to drive home is, we're not just surviving a diagnosis here. We're not just going through the motions and getting the education and all that. This is about a full, thriving life. And college has so much to offer. And that is exactly what I want people to walk away with, what you just said, Lisa. Not just going to school and going home. We want you to have these kids to have all the skills that they need to immerse themselves in the, well, maybe not every part of college. There's some things that we don't want you to get into.
No, not
all the
every
good
part.
stuff, people, all the good stuff. Leave the party into somebody else. We're just telling you all the good things, right? So, and that is exactly what my Michael is experiencing, because he has, just like you, Lisa, an upbringing with all the tools and resources and skills that he needed to then get there and make his own choices of how he wanted to spend his time. And it sounds like you got to do the exact same thing.
I did, and it's an experience I can never forget, including being wheeled to the stage for my graduation, because the week before I broke a bone in my ankle.
Oh my gosh.
So me and my orange cast, no, not orange cast, me and my surgery splint were wheeled to the stage for my graduation.
Oh, good times, good times. I'm sure
Good
there's a really
times.
fun story there.
I actually graduated in December. But I wanted to walk, but instead I got wheeled.
Well, I have to tell you, the fact that you reached out to me to talk about this, I am ever so grateful. And I know everybody listening to this is so grateful, but I also knew that there was a joy that you had at college, which made my heart skip a beat, that I was excited that you did, because the way that you reached out to me, and I could hear the joy, and watching your face light up. For everyone listening on the podcast, or if you're watching and you're blind or visually impaired, Lisa's face lights up every time she talks about that one campus. So I am so thrilled, so grateful, and incredibly blessed that you shared your story with us. You have to do it again. We'll have to put a thing together, because I know that we're going to get a flood of questions about things. Oh, speaking of that, can families reach out to you?
Absolutely.
If they have questions, where can they find you?
They can find me on Facebook, or they can reach out by my email at LISA, the letter O, the numbers 0319 at gmail.com.
Okay, and everybody, I'll put that in the comments of the Facebook post, and when this is on YouTube and the eventual podcast, it'll be in all the show notes, and then eventually it'll land on KristinSmedley.com just as soon as I find the time to learn how to do some of that stuff. But for now, it'll sit on our social media platforms.
You'll get there, Kristin. You'll get there.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Lisa. And
no problem. I loved it.
Sharing all of your wisdom and your joy of college, because I know that you just put a lot of parents' worries at ease watching you smile that college was so fun for you. I don't know about how they're feeling about tuition bills, that you've got three degrees, but they are much more relaxed. And
thank God for scholarships and financial aid.
Yeah, right. And thank you, everybody that has tuned in to listen to another episode of our Thriving Blind journey, and hearing from yet another person succeeding without sight, because that's what this is all about. And we will see you all next time. And actually watch for the information coming out about the new mastermind program that is starting for you parents that are feeling a little overwhelmed about raising blind and visually impaired kids. Go to KristinSmedley.com. and you will see the pop-up for that you can sign up for that. And we'll also put a link in the comments to this post for that one. So we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.